evening and welcome to My State of Mind here on WPRI.com. Don't forget, Dan York State of Mind is back with original programming on MyRI TV and Fox Providence, 7:30 on MyRI, midnight on Fox Providence. And tonight's broadcast has us speaking with State Representative Blake Filippi, the minority leader who is aggressive in holding his peers accountable for getting back to work. And my goodness, General Assembly really needs to do that. And it's never been more evidenced by some of the things that were being discussed today. So let's take a look at it. First of all, Governor Raimondo, when asked about tourism and out-of-state people coming in to rent and the like, what's she going to do in terms of the 14-day quarantine? And she was just kind of riffing in her press conference today about that. And not really sure, don't really know. In the meantime, asked, well, what about people from out of state coming in for any particular purpose? Is the 14-day quarantine going to be in place through all of these phases? Well, not in phase 3, but that's July. Let me tell you, if we have these restrictions that are in place for crossing the state borders for any particular reason for another couple of months, either all heck is going to break loose or people are just going to completely ignore her orders because it's just not feasible. Heck, I've got my own business I've got to do out of state. I got to run across the state line for a day, do some business, and come back. Well, you'd say, well, that's for you, but it's not for my job. It's personal business. And there's only like 1 million of you that have that same kind of a challenge. Look, the rules of the road are beginning to change by necessity. And a great conversation I had earlier today with Judge Robert Flanders on the Dan York radio program on WPRO weekdays 3 to 6, and you can find it on our podcast at 997WPRO.com, centered on this very thing, that the executive emergency authority that the governor has extended, past 30-day limits, has outrun its course. And that people who want to meet, people who want to dine, people who want to open, people who want to worship are going to begin to get very, very frustrated. And now that the courts are open beginning next week, maybe begin to file lawsuits to try to change this dynamic. Now, I'm not saying that Governor Raimondo's been out of control. I'm not saying any of those things, but the executive power that has been bestowed on her is just outrageous at this point. And the General Assembly cowering underneath desks here, and that's what's happening. The idea that the Finance Committee is finally meeting tomorrow to take a look at the fiscal picture and the state budget is more than a day late and certainly more than a dime short. Everyone who is elected to the General Assembly ought to be at work in some shape or form, social distancing, practicality factored in. There needs to be a list of issues that the General Assembly needs to weigh in on. Things like fines for masks, things like quarantine time, things like interstate travel, definition of tourism. All of those kinds of things are things that our General Assembly should be weighing in on, taking testimony on, and in writing, short-term legislation for. You can say, well, they're not built for that. What do you mean they're not built for that? Of course they're built for that. All they got to do is get up and go to work and do what they're supposed to do. The Speaker of the House and the Senate President have absolutely abdicated their responsibility. So what happens is the executive branch ends up with all this authority, and they are, by the very nature of having it all, abusing it. Not in a sense of mean-spiritedness or political gotchas or Gina Raimondo's a bad person or none of that. It's just that if no one's around to lead and you're the only one leading, you'd start leading by osmosis. Enough's enough. Enough's enough. We got to get back into legislating some of the things that are part of the response that Rhode Island is bringing to the table. So the idea that the General Assembly is going to be kind of hiding out phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, please, knock it off. Now look, the dirty little secret is the General Assembly has been run by only a small handful of people in power all this time anyway. Well, guess what? That's got to end for all sorts of reasons, but quick. Again, we're back on the television at MyRI TV at 7:30 and Fox Province at midnight tonight. Looking forward to our conversation with the representative on that matter and more. Thanks for tuning in. Check back in on WPRI.com when you can. Have a great evening. Enjoy the spring weather.